Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Yeah, just making this video because I wanted to share a few things on my mind. I've been speaking to a few people, good friends of mine, and just in general, like, this is my thoughts on the topic. So, of course, you've seen the title there, like, what sect should you follow? And I want to get straight to the point, I don't want to beat around the bush, but from my understanding of the Quran, there is no sect, there is no Sunni, Shia, anything like that is ever mentioned in the Quran. Actually, Allah tells us not to split into sects. Um, to me, from the time I've been reading the Quran, and I don't know everything, yeah, I'm still learning, I'm still studying. Don't take everything I've said as gospel, yeah. First of all, you got to do your own research as well. And Allah's the best of guides. He knows the Quran best, and He's the one who can show you, God's the one that can show you the true way, the right way. But when I read the Quran, to me, a lot of the things, the rules we get set rules and things like that. But if you've noticed, a lot of it isn't always exact, like giving to charity or giving to a poor. It says freeing a slave, fast, help your mother, honor your parents. One verse talks about, but it never says exactly how. Because to me, my understanding is we're not supposed to be following these exact rules of sex or anything, because they don't. The moment you start to accept that this sect or whatever knows everything, yeah, the moment you stop thinking you need to learn more and study the Quran and improve your standing with Alamia, you understand? Allah, I believe, from what my understanding is, then from what I've said there, is He wants us to use the reminder that is the Quran, and build and teach us how to live a good life within the situations we're in, right? How will you give charity? How will you do good? How even will you pray to Allah? There's no set four rakats or anything. There's nowhere, nothing like that inside the Quran. It's nowhere. It does not say that once, like do it 4 times here, do it 3 times here, then do three witr. I'm sure you've heard that for those who, follow Sunnism or the Hadiths, yeah. Um, and Allah even warns, like, look, I'm going to judge you between your differences, and here's some proof. Like, I'll go through some now. So let's go. Uh, just a second. Let's make sure you can see that. Uh, so here, you know, one verse here. So this is 6114. If you can see that pretty clear. I don't know how big it is on the thing. Let me just see. Let's do that actually. That'll be better. So there's multiple translations here. There's other translations that are not here. There's another guy. Some people don't accept it for whatever reason, but it's Sam Gerrans. And obviously, I'm not going to say all these translations are perfect. Everything you have to do your own research again. Look at the differences. Look at what the similarities are. Double check there's no mistranslations because people make mistakes as well. Yeah, that's why we have the Quran protected, right? So we always have the original there, and then we can always double check our translation and make sure we took the right thing. And the thing is, you're not going to always know what the right exact thing is. And that Allah's forgiving and merciful. You do the best from your knowledge of what you've taken and been able to understand as best you can and apply it with Allah in mind. Not because John said or this scholar said or, Paul from the Bible or, the Talmud from Judaism or Hadith said, do it this way, this is what it meant. You need to, Allah's given you the faculties to think and has given you intellect, a form of mind to base these decisions upon, right? You got free will for a reason, and the Quran is like a guideline to use that free will in the correct manner. You understand? God could have easily told you this is how much charity you need to give, this is who you need to give it to, this is how much you should give so he'll be okay or she'll be okay. You need to do this much prior to. He wants you to work it out and do it earnestly in a way that you're connected to Allah, that you're doing it as honest as you can without these parameters on the side, but you're doing it as much as you want to do it to show your respect to Allah. You understand? Whether that's a 40-minute prayer, sometimes 20-minute, maybe you talk about something trivial that you needed help with, or something major, maybe in the middle of a war or something, and life and death, your life is online, other people's lives online, and you really need guidance for that. Some people say to say a specific prayer. Why? There's people that speak Chinese, English, never does, Allah gives specific things to say as a prayer and stuff, but you can also, he says, glorify me at these times, right? He doesn't say exactly what to say all the time. He gives you examples, but you can also say your own thing. Do you know what I mean? That's personal to Allah. Like you give a personal birthday present to a friend or a family member or your mother. for Mother's Day or their birthday. So yeah, we'll start with this one. So then is it other than Allah? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Then is it other than Allah I should seek as judge, while it is He who has revealed to you the book explained in detail. And those whom we gave the scripture know that it's sent down from your Lord in truth, so never be among the doubters, yeah? So Allah says it's in detail. I'm sure you've come across the trouble like, oh, where's Mecca? Or how many times do you pray? They say stuff like that, and it winds me up. Like, at first I used to think, yeah, okay, actually, how many times do we pray? What did Allah miss that? But Allah don't miss nothing. God knows the future and the past, so He can't mess up anything. He knows everything. It's hard for us to understand that concept because we're kind of like the apex predator of Earth, right? Obviously, there's the jinn as well. Um, and we've got angels around us. There's four around me now, two recording everything I'm saying. Same with you, same with everyone. Um, but we get this notion like, oh, because I can't explain it, there's no way this could be. It must be random, or it must be somewhere else that I need to find it. But what if Allah was just wanting you to see how you would pray at those times? Do you know what I mean? How would you um, offer your salah, it's called in the Quran, and glorify Allah in your own way, in respect to Him, earnestly. And they they say like, sorry, I may be going off on a tangent here, but they say like, how it says it in the Hadith, for example, how many to pray. And if you look at the Hadith, you'd have to go through so many different things, like um, to even find where it talks about rakahs, from what I understand. And the Hadith, you can't rely on that because that itself contradicts itself. And I can give you some examples here. Like, this is from a Discord who had a list of them already, but so let's just focus on these for now, actually, yeah. Let's just focus on these, actually, first, and then I'll go to that after. I just want to focus on the sect thing. So, yeah, all these sects, they talk about having the right way, right? But if we look here, if you were to obey most, so this is 616, same chapter, 616, and if you obey most of those upon earth, they will mislead you from the way of Allah. They follow not except assumption, and they are not but falsifying. So just think about that for a moment. If he's A lot of people will talk about this and say, oh, it's about the disbelievers. If you follow them or their idols, like, I don't know, celebrities and things like that, they'll mislead you. But it's talking about everyone, like even the people that try to preach religion, and it's just a general term here. If you were to obey most of those upon the earth, they will mislead you from the way of Allah. Look at how many Sunnis, for example, and this is no disrespect to them. I hope Allah guides them to the right way, and me as well. I don't think of myself as better than any sect or any person within them. There could be believers in there that are completely, way better than me and stuff. I don't say that, but the point is that these things that we follow, these sayings of the prophets, have massive contradictions in them. And I think we're supposed to be, we're supposed to be relying fully on the Quran as Allah has told us, and the guidance will come there. And then anything that's not specific, you're supposed to use your own faculties in mind to work out how can I approach that situation like Allah has said here. Allah says to give charity. He don't tell me, go to Islamic Relief or go to, I don't know, any other charity I can think of, for example. I think ones we have here, Aged UK, for example, which is for elderly people. Go there and give it. You need to give it there now because he wants you to look at, okay, where are the problems in the earth? Who's suffering? Maybe there's someone without water. Maybe there's a war going on where they need food. Maybe there's someone nearby. And out in the streets we have there's companies in Bradford, for example, that work to help homeless people and people who are looking for a job to get work. And it can come from anywhere. Allah's made it very general. We all know what charity means. We all have that general knowledge, who are of age. So we work toward how we can support that cause in our own way, in our own community or outside of it, in the name of Allah. And the same goes for anything else, I think, with prayer, with how you follow the Quran and stuff. Allah wants you to use him to use God as your guide, to read it and then ask Allah, Allah, I'm going to try do this. I don't know if it's the right way, but I'm going to try do it this way because I think it's right by you. And if there's any incorrections, please correct me. Do you understand? It's supposed to be quite open. It's supposed to, you're supposed to use your intellect and rely on it. And not the moment you start giving someone, relying on someone else to give you the rules of how to follow God, the moment you're open to manipulation, right? You give power to that person, whether it be scholar or anyone, yeah? Any person who says, these words, this is what Prophet Muhammad used to do, you should do this. Um, you, that's it. If he starts, maybe he gives you some truths, right? And then all of a sudden starts adding lies in there, and then they get mixed up. And then you start, because you fully believe that guy. He says he believes in God. He says he's a scholar. He's got these degrees and everything. What if he's completely in the wrong, and he's telling you something wrong, and you don't know because you chose to give up that faculty of thinking that Allah's given you to somebody else to do it for you. You don't want to do that. That's what Allah warns against, like to rely on Allah, not other people, because no one really truly knows the Quran in and out and understands everything about the earth and how to do everything perfectly. No one does anything, but we all made mistakes. Allah says the Quran, if I were to take you to task, let's check that verse actually. I would think it's, yeah. There you go. 1661. If Allah were to punish people for their wrongdoing, he would not have left a single living being on earth, but he delays them from a point time, and when their time arrives, they cannot delay it for a moment, nor could they advance it. And Allah talks about purifying yourself, yeah? 87:14. Successful indeed are those who purify themselves. And Allah knows best, right? But Allah knows we're not perfect, that we need to clean ourselves. Like you have to purify sometimes, you got to clean your clothes or clean something. Sometimes you get dirty dishes, you got to clean them, right? They didn't come out perfect. You had some food in them, or maybe when you were building something, there was impurities in that metal that you were, mining out of some, wherever it was, some mine. But you go out of your way to purify it, build something out of it, and make something good, right? And the same thing is with us, like our souls, We've done a lot of stupid things, as we've been young, not knowing stuff, maybe done wrong and evil. But Allah gives us the chance. And this is why He's the most compassionate, most merciful. There's things I've done, and I'm sure you've done, and only you and God know between you, right? And maybe some other people have seen it, so it's been made public. But Allah gives you a chance through this life to make that fix. And all I'm saying is I don't think you should give that power to other people. You need to work on that the best you can with Allah Almighty, because He knows how you can purify yourselves, not them. They can give you all these rules and stuff. And if they're giving it from the Quran, then yeah, fine. But when they're giving you stuff that's not in the Quran, you're risking adding more impurities to something, that you can't really guarantee that was said. And you can see that from the contradictions. Like, if these were the sayings of the prophet, which came from extra revelation from Allah, as they like to claim, we can look at some here. For example, let me stream this. Hold on. So I don't know if you can see this. This is from a list my friend sent me from a Discord. So here we go. I haven't actually made a scene for this, so sorry, 1 second. I didn't think I'd have to go here, but nope, I want to do window capture, please. I'll probably edit this out, so yeah. Okay, let me just double check. You can see that. Yeah. Of course, I have disappeared. Nice. Hold on. Damn it. Okay, there. All right, cool. All right, nice. Hope you can see that. Yeah, nice, perfect. And I can just turn it off there. Right, okay, so here's some examples, yeah, from a good friend of mine who sent them to me. So here's, let me just scope in. Hadith internal contradiction. So this has obviously been done up by someone else who's done the research. I've done my own and I've got some of my own, but I thought this was a great list and it literally marks them for you so you can go and check them yourself. Again, do your own research. Don't just take everything I say as gospel, yeah? In case, and by all means, you can correct me in the comments if you want, yeah? With actual evidence as well, not just say, oh no, you are doing something wrong, brother. You are going against the, you kafir or whatever as they do. Because I'm not trying to do that. I just want to explain this to you, to everyone, so that, whether it come from me or you get it from someone else, but Allah, Allah wants you to succeed, inshallah, all of us, right? And we need to use our brains here. We need to stop giving, again, like I said, power to other people and relying on things that are so contradictory when Allah has said not to rely on those sources and rely on the Quran, you know? So, does cupping break the fast? Prophet said, "The cupper and the one cupped have broke the fast." Okay, so I don't know if you guys are aware of cupping. It's kind of like, I don't know what it does, but you kind of create like a vacuum and then it gets kind of red. And I don't know the whole total reasoning behind it, but I know people did it for like medicinal reasons and stuff in the past. Um, that's a hadith Tirmidhi 774. The Prophet was cupped while he was in the state of ihram and also while he was observing a fast. So one that's Bukhari 1930. Yeah, this is the one that's widely accepted. Okay, this is the one that's like, yep, this one's correct, and the other ones, here and there. So you've got one here saying the cupper and the one cupped have broke the fast, and then you've got one here. The Prophet was cupped while he was in a state of ihram, whilst he was observing a fast. So one time it's okay to do it whilst fasting, and the other it breaks it. How can that be? Then another one here. The Messenger of Allah vomited and broke his fast. Abi Dawood 2381. The Messenger of Allah said, three things do not break the fast of the fasting person: cupping, vomiting, and wet dream. So here, vomiting breaks his fast. Second here, it it doesn't. Um, and there's another one here. So a lot of people probably will argue like, oh yeah, well Al-Bhukari is the proper version of it. The other ones are, they were here and there. They weren't very trustworthy sources, and that's why they're different. Fine, you can use that argument, but that doesn't mean it's all true. A lot of these are not in the Quran. Like these teachings have been, I believe, have been attributed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And because of that, people are so afraid to go away from it. I was the same when I was reading about the Quran, that they think, oh, because everyone's been following this and everyone does this, it must be the right way to follow Hadith as well as Quran because it explains the Quran. But no, you just saw there in the verse, the Quran is fully detailed. Allah made it detailed, so that means everything is in there that you need. Okay, there's no missing part. There's no hadith that's needed to explain a certain bit. Everything is there that you need to learn and apply, and you need to ask Allah when you get stuck on certain bits because He'll show you it in a way that you will understand. I believe like that's how it comes about. And sometimes you'll be like, "Why don't I understand this now?" Because maybe you're not ready to understand that. Do you know what I mean? It's like a step-by-step process. How was the Quran revealed? It wasn't all in one. Allah talks about it was done step by step. Um, Another one here. So what I'll do is I'll put this in the description. I think that'll be easy because we'll be here forever. But what I'll do is I'll post this in the description so you can go through these yourself. Obviously, you can pause the video and look through these. But here, okay, perfect here. So here's one with Bukhari, the one that's most trusted, actually. I'm glad I just seen this, thanks to God. Can we fast during journeys? The Prophet said it is not righteousness that you fast on a journey. Bukhari 956. We set out with Allah's Messenger on one of his journeys on a very hot day. None of us was fasting except the Prophet and Ibn Rawaha. Bukhari 1945. I mean, 1945, 1946, so they're both next to each other. So why was he doing that? Why did he do something he said not to do if he said that? He just wouldn't do that. Allah even warned him if you were to go out of your way to make your own rules up, he would take them, you know. He would cut them by the jugular, if I remember. Let me check here. Basically like a warning, obviously, as it's translated there, but let me just get back to the other window. Sorry. I am pretty bad with this. Second time properly using it, but I'll learn slowly. Okay, so just double check it's on. Yeah. I only have one monitor, you see, so I got all tab and stuff quite a bit. Here we go. So again, talking about sects again, going back there. Indeed, those who have divided their religion and become sects, you are not with them in anything. Their affair is only to Allah, then He will inform them about what they used to do. He will inform them what they used to do. So even Alami, as he's talking to the Prophet and also to us, Dad, say, because he doesn't actually, this brackets here is not actually saying Muhammad in there, but obviously they put that there to show that in that context they were speaking to Allah, but Allah's put that in the Quran to speak to you as well. It's like he's speaking to all of us. He's speaking to the Prophet in that timeline, but Allah knew we were going to read this in the future, you understand? And the way it's written is as if it's directing itself to you. Indeed, those who have but divided their religion and become sects, you are not with them in anything. Their affair is only to Allah. Then He will inform them about what they used to do. This is right. When Allah talks about people in the Quran that believe, they're called believers. And then the people that are wrong as wrongdoers, transgressors, things. There's no like, the Shia and the Sunni, they do this, and the I don't know many other sects, but the Talmud from the Jews, or for example, the conservative Jews and the Masorti Orthodox, they did this. Same with Christianity. They do the same. The same pattern has been going on, and it's like we're being given massive proof by Lamia straight up that this has been done before. You're doing the same thing as you've done in the past. I've seen some debates from some of the big prominent Sunni guys that do YouTube videos take down, like talk about Talmud, how you can believe in that when it's just sayings from the past and there's no way you can use that as a reliable source of information. That's what they did with the Hadith. Judaism sects, their Hadith, yeah, was relying on Talmud to explain the Torah. You've got conservative, Masorti, Orthodox, Reform, and Reconstructionists, which is a bit of a small group. You've got Christianity, right, which is relying on Paul, Michael, and other saints, right? You see it in the chapters what they're named after, who it's come from. Paul, Michael. Think of Abu Huraira and Aisha narrated this, and Abu Bakr and stuff. Same thing. They've done it there. And what do we have with the sects of Christianity? It's Catholic. We've got Protestants. I don't know of any other ones. I just wanted to give a couple examples, but it's happening there is the point, yeah. And Islam has done the same thing. Islam just means submission to Allah, yeah. There is no like multiple religions. There's just one way, and it's following Allah's way. That's the religion, following the Quran and following His way, and then doing the best you can to follow it through your deeds and what you do in life with what you've been given and what you earn. And with us, like we've got Al-Bhukari, we've got all these books of Hadith now, same as those guys they did in the past. And they're even like labeling people like the Sunni and Shia. There's another one I've seen. To do with they call it submission, which they only believe in Quran and stuff, but it's not. They don't see themselves as sect. They're just following Quran, which is the right way, I believe. There's some things I'll say I won't disagree with, and I don't see him as a sect. But do you know what I mean? Like I don't even want to say a name. It's just we follow Allah, we submit to Allah. That's it. I'm not putting a title or this. It's submission or it's this. The True Believers of God Association, whatever. Like just believers, that's it. You're doing your best to follow the Quran. Allah's going to tell you if you succeed or not. He's going to tell you how strong and how well you did and how bad or whatever you did. And it's His forgiveness and mercy you're going to be relying on. Do you know what I mean? So focus on Allah and what you can do. Don't worry about names, what you are. You just believe in Allah and you follow His way. You are submitted to Allah. That's it. There's no sect. They even do it with people who are just reading Quran now. The way Allah's trying to teach it, they're trying to make a name. They're Quranists, they call them. They're just following the Quran. That's it. I'm not going to give any name to anyone. They're people who are learning about Allah and His book and want to do the best they can. And we're all brothers, you know what I mean, who believe in God. Simple as. Whether you're from Christianity or Islam or anything, we're all people who believe in Allah Almighty and want to do the right thing. You know, hopefully most are. So don't keep following like just because your mum and dad said or your scholar said he's got all this knowledge and stuff. I'm not denying maybe some things he says right or wrong, but you should go and verify that information. You should go and check, is this right? Is this what Allah told me to do? Some examples, and I'm sure many guys know this, yeah, who've maybe come from similar upbringing in Sunnism and stuff. What Don't eat with your left hand because apparently it's against the sunnah to do that because it's more sunnah to eat with your right because with your left hand you use it to clean your ass when you go into the toilet, yeah? Do you not wash your hands? You know what I mean? What about the guy with no right hand? What's he eating with? Do you know what I mean? Okay, maybe he's got a prosthetic, but let's say he doesn't. You limit yourselves in weird ways which Allah never even explained to do that. God gave you two hands to use, okay? There is no prohibition on using the left hand. Quote me a verse from the Quran. I ain't seen any, okay? And same with what was the other thing as well? The way you pray, for example, you know, you need to do it this way. They give you a whole outline, rakats. Do you see any rakats in there? I don't. Allah explains about prostration and showing, glorifying Him in the times and stuff. And even then, there's still, that's another video for another time maybe. But from our understanding, it's talking about prayer at those times. But never does Allah say how many times you need to bow or anything. What if it's okay to just speak in English and say, talk with your heart to Allah, whether it's, you know, quietly, whispering, whatever, and being honest with Him and thanking Him honestly. You know, I used this example with someone the other day. Like, imagine if someone did something nice for you and you want to thank them. You wouldn't stand there bowing 4 times. You'd count 4 times and say thank you 3 times each time you bowed and made sure you counted that number. And if you didn't do that number right, you didn't thank them properly. Or do you actually go up to them and go, you know what, thank you so much? You do it in your own unique way. You know what, let me take you out to dinner next year. Here's a present for you. I'm really thankful for that time you helped me get that job. You know, I'm now able to earn. Thank you so much. And then you give them a hug. You know, maybe you know your best mates, and you know grab each other. You dap him up. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying to go dap God. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't think you can do that. But the point is, do you know what I mean? Like to show that respect to Allah in your own way, how would you glorify Him and show respect? People will say, "Oh well, if we didn't know how to pray, you know, you could just spin on your head and start breakdancing." Would you really go and do that? Hmm? Do you know what I mean? Would you really go when you're ready to pray to the Lord of the worlds, the person who created you and made everything, sit there and start doing head spins, breakdancing, you know, doing the splits whilst you speak? Like, come on, do you know what I mean? Like you'll do it in a way which you hope is the you would do to a king of all kings, to someone who has the title Lord of the worlds, your creator, you know, God of every, you know, the one and only God. You'd think of that and then you'd do it as best you can to show that respect. And that's what Allah will look at, like, how did he do it? How did she do it? Not, you know, you copying 10 other people. And maybe you do take stuff from other people. There's no right. And I'm not saying praying that many rakats and everything is wrong. Not at all. You know, if you feel connected to that way and that's how you do it and that's how you connect with Allah, no problem. That's the point I'm trying to make. That is supposed to be unique between you and God. Whether you do it the way how everyone does it or similar, or you do it a different way, but you're paying that respect. You're showing that gratefulness for the things you are. Because, man, we've been blessed with so much. I mean, I would never be able to give this message out like this 1,000 years ago. I'd need a pigeon and a, you know, piece of paper. Hopefully it gets to you without getting eaten on the way. I don't know how it worked back then. I'm just guessing, but you know. um, you know, there's a verse here, and I want to look before I go to this. You look at the. I've just deleted it as well. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Okay. Someone did a general summary of chapter 6, right? You can see the site here, pantheos.com, right? And these are a few of the um, subjects God talks about in here. But look at right at the bottom, and this is what the biggest thing I want people to take from here right now. You'll obviously take everything here, Allah knows best. But different understanding of the same truth given so that he could test you in your individual capacities. Therefore, Islam was never supposed to be a monolith, no religion. It was always the same that they were taught from Abraham. This is what I'm trying to say is that you're supposed to read the Quran, take it as best you can, and follow the best way, what you think is right by Allah, He gives you specifics for certain things like divorce and fasting and, times of prayer, for example, and other things, right? But it's ambiguous the rest. How you do the prayer, what you say in it, for example, how you give charity, how do you stay chaste, what are the things you do to keep in that way? How do you get married? Maybe you'll go out and have a date with someone, maybe you do it online, maybe you'll meet someone at an event or something. There's no specific way to do it, but you do it in a way that's respectable by how Allah explained to be respectable and kind and lower your gaze and don't go around you know doing it the opposite way of what he said, right? Or against it. And even then, when you make mistakes you're gonna make mistakes. That's the thing. You're not gonna do everything perfectly. I don't think, unless Allah gives you full information, helps you to do it perfectly the whole time. But you're gonna make mistakes with your own faculty because you're human. That's why he says purify yourself because you're gonna keep improving. You gotta keep looking for, okay, can I do this better? Okay, did I learn this bit of the Quran better? Maybe one day, 10 years later, something around the Quran, actually, I can do it this way. And Allah gives it to you then because you've now shown your proof, you've committed, you've worked hard, and now you're going to try do it better this time. You do it with jobs. You start off small, you keep learning, you keep improving. You have different understandings of how this, you put on a tire or, make this food. Everyone makes food differently, for example. A guy who makes, one of my favorite dishes, biryani, yeah, chicken and rice. A woman will make it differently. This woman will make it differently. This person will make it differently. My sister will make it differently. But they all do it as best as they can to make it as tasty as they can. But it comes out different. Same with the understandings. You do it in a way that's best, you think is best with Allah, and you try to follow it. And Allah, hopefully, inshallah, guide you to the right way. And if there's any incorrections, you make sure you ask, I would say ask Him, or however you would do it best, to help you correct those. But at least you did it with Allah in mind. You didn't do it because someone told you. You didn't do it because you felt you were, these scholars said that it was the right thing, or all these people are all doing it. They must be right because everyone's doing it then. They've been doing it that way for hundreds of years. The story of Abraham, when his dad, and uses the example of, well, our forefathers used to follow these island pray to them, and he's like, well, what if what you were following was wrong, and what this was showing is different and better? Trying to get him to use reasoning, use his mind to just look at this. Allah is one God, and I can show you proof if you read this. You've got to be willing to look at it. This has been a thing that's happened in a constant loop. And it's like a test. Obviously, it's a constant test for each and every generation. Every time it comes up in different times, different ways. Back then they had horses and carriages. Now we got cars and planes. Do you know what I mean? But the test keeps coming back, and to see if we can, stay true, even if the tools and everything we use improve or change. But different understanding of the same truth given, so he could test you in your individual capacities. And look here, number 548, and we Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. And we have revealed to you the book in truth, confirming that which preceded it of the scripture and as a criterion over it. So judge between them by what Allah has revealed, the Quran, yeah, and what is shown. And you can use this as well. I believe there's verses which say, use this as like a basis to look at what is truth in the Bible and the Torah, because obviously they've kind of been changing. Well, new ones have been added, people with their own suggestions and writings have completely changed it. But Allah has revealed and do not follow their inclinations away from what has come to you of the truth. To each of you we prescribed a law and a method. Had Allah willed, He would have made you one nation. But to test you in what He has given you, so raise to what is good. Test you what He's given you. He gave you a prescribed law method. Everyone's going to come from different places, different lives, different concepts and everything. He wants to see how you apply the Quran in those situations. You understand? Everyone, here's a good example, I think, It just came to my head, thanks to God. I hope it's good because sometimes mine can be a bit weird. But cars, for example, there are different types of cars in every country. You know, you've got European cars, which are obviously they're exported all around. You've got Japanese cars, you've got mechanic, you've got electric cars, you've got hybrid cars. Each one has a different functionality. You can't just take one single guideline and say, that's how you fix all cars, because all of them work differently. But you use the knowledge you've gained from the main guideline of how to fix and, what you learn as a mechanic, and then you try to apply it to that. And sometimes you're going to come up with some hiccups, right? And you do your best to work that out, but you always go back to the main guideline, right? So you're like, okay, I know this car, its tires is this size, so this I'll need to change it with this kind of tire for this electric car, I'm guessing as well, because they're both the same size, right? Okay, that fits. Do you know what I mean? But this engine is way different. Okay, what will I need to use? Let's go to the book. All right, it says you use this to kind of work that solution out. So I'll use that from the book. And the same is with the Quran. You use your faculties and you use what you've learned from there to apply to the situation you're in. Um, to Allah is your return altogether, and He will inform you concerning what over which you used to differ. So He knows that we're going to come with different solutions, different kind of different thoughts and processes on how we do charity and how we, observe the fast and how we observe. Well, that gives you detailed guidelines. Allah gives detailed guidelines for that, but how you observe your chastity. What precautions did you put in place to keep to that? How did you get married? How did you meet that woman? Did you do it the right way as best as you could? And I'm not going to say there's any right way. There's loads of different ways you can meet people. I know they make up stuff like women can't go out to meet a man and men can't. They have to be in front of their father and parents and stuff. Well, can they not be respectful of each other and do it on their own? You're not going to be yourself when you're in front of your parents all the time. I want to get to know you for you before me. Do you know what I mean? And same, I'm sure you want to get to know me before you in our own light, in private. But Allah's watching and you keep that in mind. But they have these weird rules. Oh, you can't do this. Oh, you need to get married this way. Oh, you have to do it this way and that. Nah. Allah tells you how to get married, the dowry and generally and what divorce. That's it. But the meeting up and how you do it, is up to you. But you do it in the way Allah prescribed, with respect, with dignity, showing respect to your bodies, lowering your gaze, not going out there to do. I'm sure you know what kind of people do, yeah. But to do it in a respectful manner of how Allah taught you in the Quran, okay? And if there isn't super specifics after that on how to do it, then you have to use your mind. How do you apply it to the way He's given you to do it in that way? How do you apply it now without those specifics? Get married and lower your gaze. How are you going to lower your gaze? How are you going to keep yourself from, ogling at another woman or man or whatever? And, how are you going to keep yourself from, how are you going to keep yourself chaste? How are you going to, what do you do to work around that? You're going to go try look for a wife early on, maybe? Maybe you try to get your kids married as soon as when they're 18 and foster a good relationship. You know, so many different ways. Or maybe, you decide to, find someone on a dating site or something. She's, she or he's Muslim or, believes in God even and is trying to follow the right way. And you meet up and you talk over lunch. Maybe you go for a walk. I don't know how it happens. But there's so many different ways to get married. And then once you decide, you go through the ruling, what Allah talked about, the dowry, who you want to offer to hand to, and make sure it's not of those that are prohibited. Like he talks about, you can't marry your mum and sister, which we all know logically why that is. Use your brain is what I'm trying to say. And I'm not saying I know everything. I'll reiterate that again. I could be completely wrong. Do you know what I mean? I'm just doing what I think is right and what I've learned from Allah Almighty. And you're not alone. For those of you who are thinking this way, who are trying to decide, am I going crazy and stuff? I don't think so. If you're doing it by Allah and you're fearful of Allah and that's what you're thinking about, I think that's the way to be. That's how we're supposed to be, relying on Allah how to do it. I'll be honest, I wasn't even going to do this video, but for some reason, I hope this is the right thing by Allah, and I apologize. My words sometimes are a bit everywhere and all that, things like that. It may not be the most professional way, but I hope I've got that message toward you. Do you know what I mean? And I hope Allah helps me to improve this if this is the way to do it, because I like to do it in person. It's a lot more easy to do in person for me. But, here we are. Things are going to be uncomfortable, do you know what I mean? Things are going to be a bit weird, trying to unlearn these things that everybody's told you to do. You're not alone. But seek Allah, read the Quran and try to understand it as best as you can, yeah? And when you and don't assume you're super correct because you could be wrong and ask Allah for forgiveness and to go the right way. And inshallah, He shows you and shows me and all of us the right way. And at least, even if you were wrong at some points, you were wrong, but you did it for Allah. You did it with Allah in mind. You didn't do it because somebody told you or somebody gave you these rulings. You did it because you thought this was the right way by Allah. This is what you were being shown, and Allah's the best of guides. You know, He's the most forgiving and most merciful. The things He's done for us. He's put the sun and the moon and all these variety of foods, all these things. Look at the variety of foods we have. It's insane how much He's given us, you know. He wants you to be happy, wants you to succeed, He wants you to have these nice things, but He also wants to teach you self-control, how to be disciplined, how to use your thought process, because this is a big blessing. We could just be robots. You know, I remember reading, I can't remember which verse it is, but we could have all made you, I mean, here it says all made you one nation, but there's one way we could have all made you the same, you know, like, and maybe that's what that pertains to. We could have all made you one nation, just one organized group, you know, no differences or anything. Um, let's see if we can find it. Yeah. Oh, humanity, indeed, we created you from a male and female and made you into peoples and tribes so that you may get to know one another. Surely the most noble of you in sight of Allah is the most righteous among you. Or Allah is truly all knowing, all aware. I like this one. I'll just go to this. I know it's a bit off topic, but you know, you don't matter where you're from, sect or anything, or you know, really, you know, your color, skin, or anything. Allah gave variety. If we were all the same, if you're all brown like me, all white, it'd be boring. Do you know what I mean? If we all just had one, Allah gave variety. What a blessing. Do you know what I mean? You know, and within people as well, within food, within the cars, the things we use to travel, the things we use to study, you know, my keyboard, my computer, this headset, so many different things, colors, you know. These sects, look up, I'm going to post those hadith and you can see how many contradictions they are. And it should hopefully, I hope, instigate some of you who may be on the fence and stuff to see. And those of you who are trying to follow the Quran and are on that journey and who are feeling a bit worried, like, oh, am I going here and stuff? Look, believe in Allah. He's the best of guides. Just follow Him and do the best you can with the Quran. Don't rely on all these other outside sources that Allah has warned against. If most of you were to follow them, as He says, most of you would end up astray. They only follow they follow not nothing except assumption, and they are not but falsifying. None of them know if the Prophet Muhammad said those things. None of them know about the Talmud if all that was said, because it's not in the Quran. Allah's confirmed what's needed to, and He's made it nice and simple. We could have had a million-page book bigger. He says his words would not run out. I remember the oceans. I think it was Quran. If all the trees were pens and the ocean refilled by seven other oceans, the words of Allah would not be exhausted. Surely Allah is almighty and wise. And here's another thing for the people who say you need hadith to explain. How many books is the hadith? That's a lot of writing, right? Allah could have easily made the Quran that way, but He didn't. Allah made it a certain size. He knew this was in. He knows this is enough. What we need to do to be successful with Him, with Allah, right? There you go. There's even more proof there. He could have done it easily. I mean, that's a lot of writing. Seven other oceans. That's way more than the Hadith and all these sayings. All of them put together, the Talmud and the sayings of Paul, Michael, and the saints for the Bible, Old and New Testament. So do your own research and ask Allah for guidance. And inshallah, you know, He shows me and all of us the right way, and you know, we're successful because I want to see you guys in heaven, man. I want to see us, you know, you be happy and we all succeed. And I can't wait to meet Allah and the angels and the jinn and all the other people, you know, in the past and stuff. If we pass, can you believe that? How awesome! And that's the real life He talks about. There's gonna be all kinds of stuff there, and you know, we're gonna be back with Allah in a place where everything is peaceful and fair for those who have succeeded. So rely on Allah is what I'm saying, and rely on the Quran, what He's given, and Just follow what he's guiding to you as best as you can, and ask for forgiveness, even if it might be incorrect, because you might be incorrect completely, and just do the best you can. All right. I'm sure this guide and this reminder is for us to take from it, and like that bullet point said, so well said that was, I thought. And I can't find it now. Different understandings of the same truth given so that he could test you in your own individual capacities. Therefore, Islam was never supposed to be a monolith. This is chapter 6, yeah? So if you want to look at yourself, look at your proof, and listen to what Allah said, go ahead. Glad we did this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Apologies if I go on tangents and stuff. Sometimes my mind is kind of all over the place at times, but I hope you got something good from there. And yeah, may Allah guide you all, and assalamu alaikum to everyone. May Allah's peace and blessings be on you all. Peace.